Hello parents and carers, this is Mrs Gardner. I'm one of the Associate Assistant Principals at Hanham Academy, and I'm looking at the homework and specifically for Year 7 and Year 9 during our time this year. So we made some changes to the homework at Hanham Academy, and I appreciate that lots of you wouldn't be aware of what it was like before, but I'm going to go through what the homework is like now for Year 7 and Year 9. So we use our Show My Homework, as I'm sure you're aware, at Hanham Academy. And if students can just access this by Googling Show My Homework, and it comes up with this Satchel 1 website as the first link on Google. They can also download Show My Homework as well as an app onto their phone. And again, it comes up as Satchel 1, so they need to look for that in the App Store of their phones that they use. The easiest way to log on to this is to actually click on the button below here where it says sign in to Office 365, and I've gone through this with students during tutor time about how to log on, but in case they have forgotten, if you click that button instead, students can then log in with their school email address and the password that they also use to log into the computers at Hanham Woods, so it's much easier to log in. When they do log in, I would recommend that they actually click on the calendar function, which is just here. And if they click onto the calendar function on there, the homeworks that are due and set actually come up with the days of the week, so it stays on the current week for this week. So you can see there I've set quite a few homeworks there for my groups, but it comes up specifically for your child, so just for the homework that is set for them. And it does come up with their class code as well and the subject in there. So they just appear in this area here. Now this one has been set previously. If I click onto the green bar, then I can see more details about the actual homework. But for example, this pink one here is due in by Friday. So I can actually look on this, see when the due date, check it out for Friday and complete that homework, knowing that this is the most immediate homework due in. However, the others are not due in yet because their bar goes all the way across past Sunday. So what they can then do is click on this forward arrow here, and it will take them on to the next week, and then these bars will then stop and cut off just like this pink one has done in the following week. So you can see what is due first by where the bars cut off on the days of the week. And I find that this is a lot easier to navigate compared to just looking at the list that often comes up straight away where it looks very daunting. So a couple of hints and tips there to help your child. Students can also communicate to their teachers as well by sending messages, which is very helpful, and teachers can respond in that way as well. So if they're stuck about a different type of homework, they can just send a message to their teacher and they'll pick them up. So looking at the homework at Hanham Woods, particularly for Year 7 and Year 9, I wanted to really improve the homework that we were setting. We've got really high expectations of our students, and I wanted to make sure that we improve knowledge for all. Our GCSEs and our Key Stage 3 is becoming a lot more knowledge heavy, where students have to know a lot more definitions of keywords and a lot more content as well, and we want to make sure that our homework is reflecting that. By students learning more keywords, more definitions at home, this actually helps to reduce their cognitive load. So if they're thinking about a task in lesson, their brain will be thinking less about, oh, what does the keyword mean again? And they'll actually be thinking more about the task that has been set by the teacher or the activity that they are doing, because they'll become more familiar with these keywords. It also helps to increase long-term memory as well, so students will be able to recall information from the past. And also this links to something which we as teachers call interleaved retrieval practice, that basically means quizzing at different time points. So rather than just having a homework based on what you did in that lesson in that evening, it might be that actually they're tested on something from a couple of weeks ago or even a month ago. And the more we interleave and make sure that the information and the knowledge is mixed, that it isn't just what we've previously learned last lesson, this actually helps students to retain information over time, and that's seen as being the best way to actually study and revise, is to look over different topics over time from previous months or previous weeks. We also think that homework is really important to build study habits and routines as well, and we will be hopefully branching this out into other year groups too, but at the moment we're starting with Year 7 and Year 9 to help build their study habits and routines at home as well. There's also some practical reasons behind the reasons why we chose this type of homework. It's the simplicity behind this. It's very easy to do. The students should be able to complete this easily at home with your support, without your support as well. It also helps to reduce any disadvantage barriers. So we're trying to reduce our reliance on technology, or having lots of poster paper or colours at home, or be able to build things or make things at home. And we understand that isn't always that easy. It also allows us as teachers and tutors to be able to reward and sanction whether students have done or not done their homework really easily and really quickly as well. So it helps to support us in that way. Now, there's a homework timetable, and this has been stuck in the front of the homework books that your child has got. So it's a yellow book for their homework book. So on the left is the Year 7 homework timetable. Now, because we obviously teach quite a lot of subjects, we've chosen the key subjects there, the core subjects of MFL, which is the languages, so either your Spanish or French, depending what your child is taking, and then religious education. So those two subjects are alternating between themselves, that one will set it one week and one will set it the other week. That's due on a Monday. Now, your child might not have French or Spanish or RE on a Monday, but that gets resolved later on in what I'm telling you. English is on a Tuesday, then history and geography are also alternating between themselves and communicating that between them. That's on a Wednesday, maths on a Thursday, and science is on a Friday. There's also the Year 9 timetable there as well, just so you can see how that differs. Art, music, drama, technology, PE, PSE, and ICT will set occasional homework each term. So this will be a little more ad hoc, or it might be, for instance, in technology, they may set a piece of homework that takes a few weeks or even a whole month to go and complete. And we're just basing those subjects as well on the fact that they're only perhaps taught once a week to your child, or maybe twice a week. Now, the homeworks that I have been focusing on is what we're calling odd week homework tasks. It basically just starts at every week in the school calendar. Each term is numbered. So the first week that they were in school, so that's week number 1, 2, and then depending how many weeks there are in a term depends on which week we're on. So when we started back after the holiday recently, that would have been week 1 again. And now as I'm recording this, we're in week 2. But on these odd weeks, so alternating weeks, the homework tasks that are set are as follows, and these is what a lot of the homework has been set at the moment. So the students have to use knowledge organisers, and those are the booklets that can stay at home. And I know some students are bringing them back and forth, but they can stay at home. They're the booklet with lots of information of all the different subjects. The homework book, with the yellow book, that travels back and forth from home to school each day, and it should really stay in the bag unless the student's working on that. In there's a section of the book for each subject, and I've got students to number them, and there's also a contents page at the front of the book that they've stuck in, which relates to the page numbers, just so students can put all of their English work together in one section, and then all maths, etc. in one section. The homework task will be set in lesson, and it's written as a title with a due date. So they don't have to necessarily write that in their planner unless they would like to, but they can write that in lesson. So for example, when I teach science, I will ask students to get out their homework book, and they can write that down as a title in their book. It's also on Show My Homework as well, so teachers make sure that they assign that on there. In some subjects, one teacher is setting the homework for all of Year 7, so do be aware that it might not be the actual teacher of your student, but the homework is completely relevant to your child. Then what happens is when they come in to tutor time on these days on the following week when it's being checked, so for example on the Monday, they will either have their French or Spanish or RE, depending on which week it's on. The tutor will check that, and the tutors are informed every week by myself about what homework to go and check on which day. And they'll check that in tutor time by asking students to hold it up or going around the room and checking it. And they record if the homework hasn't been completed. However, the submissions for this is not necessarily recorded on Show My Homework, so you may find that it still will say that your child hasn't done the homework on Show My Homework, but they have. What you need to look for is whether they get a detention text sent to your phone. That means that they haven't done the homework. If you haven't had detention text, you can assume that your child has done the homework, and obviously you can check at home as well to see if they've done it. And what we do is that house points are recorded for consistent homework. So I ask tutors to add house points to our system for students who consistently do their homework throughout the week, and they'll be tallied up and rewards will be coming to those students as well. If students haven't done it, when it's recorded that they haven't done that by their tutor, this gives an automatic detention, and you may have had this as a text that comes to your phone, and this will be for a homework detention immediately after the school that day that it hasn't been handed in on, and that's a 30-minute homework detention. If your child has forgotten their homework book, they'll be given instead an equipment homework detention, which is for 15 minutes, and then if they present their homework to their tutor the next day, they won't be entered for a homework detention. On the other weeks, the alternating weeks, so the odd week homework was as I just described, and I'll show you some examples of that in a second. In the even weeks, so the alternating week, there'll be other homework tasks which some departments may set. Some departments are only focusing on the other homework, the knowledge organiser homework, on those weeks, but other departments are also doing other things in between. And this will be a department initiative, and this will be done not using necessarily the knowledge organiser and not using the homework book. So this could be a sheet that students are given, maybe an exam question, maybe a skill that they're asked to go and draw, or an essay question instead, and students will hand that to their teacher. So teachers are being really explicit to say, this is a knowledge organiser homework, so it goes in your homework book, or this is not a knowledge organiser homework, it's not going in your homework book, you need to hand that in to me in lessons. And students have become used to this routine over time. So then, because they hand it to their teacher, the teacher will check it on the due date and they will record it on Show My Homework. So it will come up at this point to say whether they have done their homework or not done their homework. When I went through the training with staff, I was really raising with them as well about whether the homework that they're setting, is it appropriate for disadvantage, whether you at home have resources available to do the homeworks they've set. And I just chose some different homeworks there where actually it can be quite a struggle to go and get the homework done, which is why I've asked teachers to really think about that when they're setting homework and have stripped it back, particularly using the knowledge organiser and the homework book more. So I'm going to show you some examples of homeworks that our students have completed. So a lot of the homework has been a look, cover, write check, or learn these definitions. And because the knowledge organisers are numbered, you can then find which keywords or definitions or spellings that they need to go and learn. So here's some example of some French work on the left, where they've been asked to go and learn number 1 to 15 keywords in French, and they've done that. And then again below, they then try to cover over the work that they've done, write it out again, see which ones they've got right and which ones they've got wrong. And they've actually ticked in green pen, and I've been encouraging students to do this, to actually green pen their work. So after they've looked and covered and written down, when they check it back with the knowledge organiser, see which ones they get right, which ones they get wrong. Okay, and then to also correct their work if they need to as they go through. And I would far rather see that when they've repeated the work out several times, that actually over time it's improving. It might have started with lots of mistakes to begin with, and that's okay, but over time it's improved. And we say that the minimum of one side of A4 needs to be completed for the task that is set. So if it's a look, cover, write check like this one here, that's what they need to do. Another example here is some history homework where they're writing out different definitions, and this pupil has actually written out over 2 sides of A4 because they've repeated it then a second time on the next page as well. On the next page here is some science homework, so recalling the structures of different cells, and here again you can see that they've green penned their work, and they've also added in an improvement if they needed to when they checked back to see if they're getting it right or wrong. Here's an example of an IT work where actually they've put the definitions and they've taken the notes in this way in a table format, which we call Cornell note-taking, which students are quite familiar with. Okay, so just in summary, is the fact that on alternating weeks, students will be set knowledge organiser homeworks to do in a homework book. Primarily, this is look, cover, write check, where students need to use their knowledge organiser, find the correct numbered areas of the knowledge organiser that the teacher has referred to on Show My Homework or in the title of their work. And they need to repeat the work there to take up a whole side of A4 as a minimum. And to go and check their work and add on green pen, dirt their work, we call it, so really reflecting on their work, they've done it correctly. And students that do not complete their homework, they get after school detention for 30 minutes. But students who do complete their homework are rewarded with house points, and this will lead to greater rewards over time as well. I hope you have found this video informative and helpful. If you'd like to contact me about any of the issues your child might be facing with the homework or any more advice or support, please do contact me at rebecca.gardner@clf.uk and I'll be able to respond to you in that way. Also, if your child is struggling with internet access or with laptops, please also contact me about that as well, because I also lead on Disadvantage and Pupil Premium and free school meals as well. Thank you very much.